welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to learn how to make this beautiful bandana top. It's inspired by our previous bandana design that I put out last week, so I decided to restructure the bandana and also make use of it to create this lovely top as you've seen at the beginning of the video. So this is how everything looks like. Those are the results that we got from this design, and if you would like the written pattern, it's already available on all my online shops. And yeah, let's jump right into the video. All right, so for the materials you will need yarn. The yarn that I'll be using is Alize Cotton Gold, and each ball is about 361 yards. I just needed half of it to make the full complete top. And then the hook that I'll be using is a 3.5mm crochet hook, and then a darning needle and a pair of scissors. So let's get started. So we are starting off with a 3.5 and creating our bra cups. So for the bra cups, you're going to start off with a slip knot. And we're going to make a chain of 16. I'm making for a size medium. And for all the other sizes, just check on the screen. I'll be mentioning how many chains you'll need. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So once you have your number of chains that you need for your size, you're going to chain 2 more, and you're going to go into the 4th chain from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, and into the 4th you're going to place a double crochet. So continue to double crochet all the way across the chain until you have 1 chain left. Make sure you don't miss any chain. So I have placed a double crochet in the 2nd last chain, and we have only 1 chain left on our row. Into that last chain you're going to place a total of 2 double crochets. Chain 2 and 2 more double crochets into the same exact chain. Just like that. And now this will bring us to the bottom part of the starting chain of the row, and you're going to go into each and every chain with 1 double crochet. So make sure you don't miss the very last stitch here, and you should have something that looks like this. Now we are going to start moving back and forth in a U shape so that we can grow our bra cup. So let's go on to row 2. You're going to start off with a chain of 2, turn your work. The chain of 2 at the beginning of the round, the chain of 2 at the beginning of the row counts as our very first double crochet. And then go into the next stitch with 1 double crochet and continue to double crochet once in each and every stitch until you get to the chain 2 space at the top of the bra cup. All right, so when you place a double crochet in the very last double crochet before the chain 2 space, you're going to go into the chain 2 space with 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 more double crochets into the same space. And then from here, you're going to go all the way down, placing 1 double crochet in each and every stitch. All right, so when you come to the end of row 2, you'll have something that looks like this. We're going to keep working back and forth until we have enough coverage for our bra cup. I'll be recommending a number of rows that you can do for the different sizes, but if you're making for yourself, then you're going to have to try on this bra cup to make sure it fits perfectly well. So just keep repeating row 2 with a chain of 2, turn your work, and double crochet in each and every double crochet after that. And when you get to the chain 2 space, you will place 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets, and then double crochet on the opposite side, placing 1 double crochet into each and every stitch until the end of the row. So don't forget to always go into the top of the very first chain 2 of the row, because it always counts as a double crochet. So repeat this, and I'll meet you back when I have enough rows for the size that I'm making for. All right, after getting your desired number of rows, for me I have a total of 7 rows for size medium, but you can do as many rows as long as this can create the best coverage, enough coverage for your bust. So from here we're going to create a mesh pattern around the bra cup. So from here you're going to make a chain of 4, turn your work. The chain of 4 counts as a double crochet, chain 1. So from here you're going to skip the next stitch and 1 double crochet into the next, chain 1, skip the next stitch, 1 double crochet into the next, and we're going to repeat that all the way up until the tip of the bra cup. Chain 1, skip 1 stitch, 1 double crochet into the next. So we've come to the top of the bra cup, and into the chain 2 space you're going to place 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 more double crochets, just like we were doing before. Now the fact that we have a double crochet at the very last stitch here, we want to mirror the same exact thing going on this side, onto this side. So 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and then go back to the mesh pattern, chain 1, 1 double crochet into the next stitch after skipping 1 stitch here. All right, so we've come to the end of the mesh pattern, and now we are going to do 1 more row, which is going to seal off the mesh pattern. So chain 1, and you're going to place 2 single crochets in each and every chain 1 space. So we're not going into the stitches, we're just placing 2 single crochets in each and every chain 1 space. So when you come here where you have stitches at the tip of the bra cup, you're only going to place 1 single crochet in each and every stitch, like that, and then you place 2 single crochets into the chain 2 space, and then go to the next stitches with 1 single crochet into each until you get to the mesh pattern, and you should go back to 2 single crochets in each and every chain 1 space. So we are done, and this is what your bra cup should look like. The side that has the final row is supposed to be the right side of the bra cup. Then from here you're going to make a chain of 1 and cut your yarn. So you're going to repeat this same exact process for your second bra cup, and I'll meet you back when mine is ready. Alright, so we have 2 bra cups that are totally finished. We are now going to put our bra cups aside, and we're going to start working on the bottom band of the top that creates the bandana design. So we are starting off with a magic ring. So we are going to hold our yarn like this, wrap it around 2 fingers, insert our hook and grab the working yarn and hold. Just hold there, like that. And then we are going to make a chain of 1 just to close off the magic ring so that it doesn't keep opening and closing. So after closing off the magic ring, we are going to start off with a chain of 4, which counts as a double crochet, chain 1. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. When you have your 4 chains, you're going to go into the magic ring with 1 double crochet, chain 1, another double crochet. So we want a total of 7 double crochets, and this chain 4 at the beginning counts as 1 double crochet, chain 1. That means right now we have a total of 1, 2, and 3 double crochets. We want a total of 7 double crochets. So chain 1, this is the 4th. If you feel like your magic ring is too big, you're going to pull on the tail so that it becomes a little bit smaller and easier to work with. So we have 4 double crochets so far. Chain 1, 5 double crochets, chain 1, 6 double crochets, chain 1, and 7 double crochets. So we so far have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 double crochets. And once you get your 7 double crochets, you're going to pull on the tail of the magic ring and close it off entirely. We shall weave it in later on. Don't cut it because it will unravel your work when you're done with your project. So shall weave it in later on. So we have a total of 7 double crochets separated by chain 1 spaces. So we're going on to row 2. Row 2 is going to start off with a chain of 3. Turn your work. So you can see this is the base of the triangle. The tip of the triangle is going to be around this area, and this is the base. So from here, you're going to go into the very first chain 1 space and place a V-stitch. So you're going to place 1 double crochet, chain 1, and 1 more double crochet into the same exact space. For this pattern, a V-stitch is 1 double crochet, chain 1, 1 double crochet. So from here, after this, you're going to go into the next chain 1 space and you're going to place a V-stitch. So 1 double crochet, chain 1, and 1 more double crochet. This is what you should have. Then from here, you're going to skip over the next double crochet, skip the next chain 1 space, and into the next double crochet, you're going to place 1 double crochet, chain 5, and 1 more double crochet into the same exact stitch. So this one, this big V-stitch is placed into a stitch, not in the chain 1 space. So it's placed in a stitch. So from here, you're going to skip over the next chain 1 space, skip the next double crochet, and into the next chain 1 space, you're going to place a V-stitch. So that's 1 double crochet, chain 1, and 1 more double crochet. And then from here, you're going to skip the next stitch and go into the last chain 4 space, placing a small V-stitch. I've noticed that this pattern has 2 V-stitches, the small one and the big one. So the small one is this one that creates 1 double crochet, chain 1, 1 double crochet. And then the big V-stitch is this one that creates 1 double crochet, chain 5, and 1 more double crochet. That one creates a big V-stitch. So we've just placed a small V-stitch. Sorry, there's a note here that may get a little bit confusing, but we have a small V-stitch in the last chain 4 space, and then you're going to go into the same exact space with 1 more double crochet to end up your row. So this is what you should have at the end of row 2. Let's go on to row 3. Row 3 is going to start off with a chain of 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Turn your work. So that chain of 4 counts as a double crochet, chain 1. And then you're going to skip over the next double crochet and go into the first V-stitch and place a small V-stitch, which is 1 double crochet, chain 1, 1 double crochet. And then go into the next small V-stitch and place a small V-stitch. 1 double crochet, chain 1, 1 double crochet. And then when you have 2 stitches left to the chain 5 space, as you can see here, when you have 2 stitches, 2 double crochets left to get to the chain 5 space, you're going to prepare for a double crochet, skip those 2 stitches and go into the chain 5 space. And you're going to place 5 double crochets separated by chain 1 spaces. So this is 1, chain 1, 2, chain 1, 3, chain 1, 4, chain 1, and 5. So once you have your 5 double crochets separated by chain 1 spaces, once you place your 5th, you're going to prepare for a double crochet, skip the next 2 stitches, the next 2 double crochets, and then go into the chain 1 space of the small V-stitch and place a small V-stitch, which is 1 double crochet, chain 1, 1 double crochet. So this is what you should have. So from here, you're going to go into the next V-stitch and place a small V-stitch. So each small V-stitch gets a small V-stitch. Just keep that in mind. So from here, after placing your V-stitch into the last V-stitch, you're going to make a chain of 1, skip the next stitch and go on top of the chain 3 at the edge of the row and place 1 double crochet there. So this is what you should have at row 3. So this is an odd row, which is row 3, and row 4 we are going to do something different a bit. Row 4, you're going to start off with a chain of 3, turn your work, go into the very first chain 1 space. After a chain of 3, turn your work, go into the first chain 1 space and place a small V-stitch, which is 1 double crochet, chain 1, 1 more double crochet. So this is how the row begins, row 4. And this is how our even rows are going to look like. So chain 3, turn, 1 small V-stitch into the very first chain 1 space. Go into the next V-stitch with 1 small V-stitch. Remember I told you each small V-stitch gets a small V-stitch. Then after this, you're going to go into the next V-stitch, the next small V-stitch with a small V-stitch. which is 1 double crochet, chain 1 double crochet. And then when it comes to these 5 stitches that you placed in the big V stitch, you're going to work the small V stitches until you get to these stitches in the middle of the big V stitch. And you're going to go into the very first V stitch with a small V stitch. Just like that. So the very first space of the 5 stitches. And then from here, you're going to skip the next double crochet, skip the next chain 1 space, and go into the next stitch with 1 double crochet, chain 5, and 1 more double crochet into the same exact stitch. So this will create another big V stitch. So the big V stitches are created on the even rows. You can see it here and you can see it here at row 2 and at row 4. So when you're done with that, prepare for a double crochet by yarning over, and then you're going to skip over the next chain 1 space, skip the next stitch, and then place a small V stitch into the next chain 1 space. Just like that. And then continue to place small V stitches in each small V stitch until towards the end of the row. So when you place your last small V stitch into the last small V stitch of the previous row, you're only left with the chain 4 space. You're going to prepare for a double crochet and go into that chain 4 space with a small V stitch, which is 1 double crochet, chain 1, 1 double crochet, and then you're going to place 1 more double crochet into the same space to wind up your row, and this is what you will have. This marks the end of row 4. Row 5, we are going to just do the same exact thing as we did for row 3, because the even rows are the same and the odd rows are the same. So that means row 5 resembles row 3. So you start off with a chain of 4, which counts as a double crochet, chain 1, turn your work, skip the next stitch and go into the very first small V stitch and place a small V stitch there. Then continue to place 1 small V stitch in each small V stitch until you have 2 stitches to the chain 5 space. So this is the level at which you should be. So you have 2 stitches to the chain 5 space. So you're going to prepare for a double crochet and go into the chain 5 space with a total of 5 double crochets separated by chain 1 spaces. So this is the second one, third, fourth, and fifth. So once you have your 5 double crochets placed into the chain 5 space, you're going to prepare for a double crochet by yarning over, and then you're going to skip over 2 stitches and into the next chain 1 space you're going to place a small V stitch. And then continue to place a small V stitch in each small V stitch. The V stitches are placed in the chain 1 spaces of the V stitch from the row below. So continue until you place your last V stitch in the last V stitch of the previous row. So this is what you should have. And then you're going to make a chain of 1. When you place your last V stitch into the last V stitch of the previous row, you're going to make a chain of 1, skip over 1 stitch, and go on top of the chain 3 at the end of the row with 1 double crochet. So that marks the end of row 5. And this is what you should have. Now we are going to repeat rows 4 and 5. Row 4 and 5 again and again, and you're going to see your triangular shape spreading out. Alright guys, so I ended up doing a total of 19 rows, and this is the row that creates that fan stitch in the very big V stitch. So I have a total of 19 rows. Just to cross check, I have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 and 19. And the 19th row is the one that starts with a chain of 4 and ends with a chain of 1 and 1 double crochet into the top of the very last chain 3 of the previous row. So this marks the end of row 19, and we've ended on an odd row. So we're going on to row 20, and this is going to be the very final row, and it's going to create an edging on this side, this slanting edge, and the slanting edge on the opposite side. So we're going to create the final edge here, and then later on we shall make the straps, clean up the edges at the base of the triangle, and then create the strap on this other side as well. So what we are going to do is make a chain of 1 and turn our work. So into the very first chain 1 space, you're going to place 1 single crochet, chain 4, and then slip stitch into the 2 loops, the 2 front loops of the single crochet. Just slip stitch there, and then single crochet again into the same space. So we are creating this beautiful picot stitch. Into here, into the V stitch, you're going to place 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet into the same space. So this makes a total of 2 single crochets, chain 4, slip stitch into the 2 loops facing you, the 2 loops of the single crochet facing you, then single crochet again into the same space. So let's go into the next V stitch. So 2 single crochets, create the spike stitch, 1 2 3 4, slip stitch into the single crochet below, and then single crochet into the same space. So we are going to go all the way across until the top of our triangle. Doing this, we're just creating that spike stitch into the V stitches. So 2 single crochets, chain 4, slip stitch into the 2 loops of the single crochet facing you, and then single crochet into the same space. So skip over the next 2 stitches and go into the chain 1 space of the next V stitch and place 2 single crochets, chain 4, slip stitch, single crochet into the same space. So this is what we are creating. We are creating that spike stitch. So we're going to go all the way up, and when we get here, I'll show you what to do next. Alright guys, so we've moved all the way from down here all the way up, and you can see how evenly placed these spikes are and how beautiful the edge is compared to this plain one. So we're going to cross over, and the way to do that, we're going to still go ahead and do the same exact thing in these V stitches, just like we've been doing before. So 1 single crochet, another single crochet, chain 4, slip stitch into the single crochet, and then single crochet again into the same space. But this time we don't have 2 single crochets in between, so we're just going to go into the next V stitch and do the same exact thing. Okay, and then go into the next. So we're going into the chain 1 spaces, don't forget that. When you get to this point, you're just going to create the spike stitch in each and every chain 1 space. So until you get to that point where you have 2 stitches to the next V-stitch, to the next chain 1 space. So this is not a V-stitch and it's not a chain 1 space. So that means we've crossed over from this side all the way to this side. So we are going to go ahead and continue to create the spike stitch or the picot stitch on this edge as well. So just go ahead and do the same exact thing that we've been doing on this side in every chain 1 space of the V-stitch, of each V-stitch along this side, and I'll meet you back when we're coming to the end of the row. Alright guys, so this is what your work will look like after working on this side and this side. So we're coming to the end of the second side, and then into the chain 4 space you're going to place 1 single crochet, chain 4, and slip stitch at the base of the single crochet, and single crochet again into the same exact space. So this marks the end of the picot stitch or the spike stitch that we had to do on this end and this end, as I had explained earlier on. So alright guys, after your picot stitch, one thing that you should make sure you do is make sure that this length across the base of your triangle can make it across your front bust measurement all the way towards the back. So you can see it's around 26 and the bust measurement that I'm considering is 32, so that means I have 6 inches less than my actual bust measurement. So make sure that this can make it across the front side of your bust, but not entirely around your rib cage, because we want to leave some room for lacing up this bottom part of the top. So once you get here, we're going to start working across the base of the triangular panel, and you're going to go into each and every row with a total of 3 single crochets. So 3 single crochets in each and every row across the base of the triangle. So go all the way across. When it comes here, when it comes to the exact middle, just place 3 in this row and 3 in this row, and then make it all the way across. And I'll meet you back when I'm done with the bottom edging of the triangular panel. Alright, so we've made it all the way across, placing 3 single crochets in each and every row at the base of the triangle. And this is what we have. We have a clean edge at the base, and from here you will just slip stitch into the single crochet on this side of the base of the triangle and make a chain of 1, cut your yarn. So what we are going to do next, we're going to put this away for now and then reintroduce our backups that we made earlier on. What we want to do is do the same exact thing that we've done at the base of the triangle onto the base of the backups, so that later on we can join everything together. So we're going to attach our yarn. I'm going to just tie this. And from the last single crochet of the bra cup, you're going to go into each and every row with a total of 3 single crochets into each and every row, plus 3 single crochets. And you're going to do that all the way across the base of the bra cup. All right, so when you place a total of 3 single crochets in each and every double crochet row, you're going to make a chain of 1 and cut your yarn. And you're going to repeat this on the second bra cup. So this is what we have. All right, after making it all the way across the base of the second bra cup, and then chain 1 and cut your yarn. Pull through. So you'll have 2 identical bra cups like this. And now it's time for us to reintroduce our triangular piece, the one that's going to go at the base. And make sure the side where you've worked your final row, this is my final row, it was going like this, so I'm going to put the right side of the final row at the base of the triangle like this as well, on the right side. And now we are going to get a strand of yarn and join everything together. So to do that, you're going to get your darning needle and thread it with the strand of yarn, and we're going to skip the 2 rows in the middle of the triangular base, the triangular panel. So this side and this side, we're going to start with the first single crochet in the second row after the exact middle. So we are removing this one. After the middle part, skip 1 row, and then the very first stitch is the one that's going to attach into the first stitch on this side. So my stitches are a bit tight. You're going to leave a tail behind on this side, the one that you'll use for the opposite side. So just like that, you're going to skip 1 stitch, go into the next stitch, and skip 1 stitch on this side and go into the next stitch, like that. So we are skipping 1 stitch and going into the next and attaching. So don't forget, we are skipping 1 stitch on both panels, both on the bra cup and on the triangular panel. Skip 1 stitch and attach the next. So when you make it all the way across, you can weave in your tail. You can just go to the back and weave in this tail. Secure it. Then from there you can cut off your yarn, and you're going to use the string that you left behind to attach the second bra cup. Remember, I told you to skip 1 row after the exact middle. So what I'm going to do is tie these 2 knots together just to get rid of one of them. Get rid of the shorter one because we don't need it, but the longer one is the one going to attach onto the opposite side. So the fact that it's located on this side and we are supposed to attach starting with this stitch, I'm going to just go into these stitches here one by one until I get to the first stitch that I'm supposed to attach onto the bra cup. Okay, so this is my first stitch, and then you're going to grab your bra cup and attach there. You can attach 2 times so that it can create that nice corner, just like that. And we're going to go all the way across, attaching the second bra cup. So don't forget to skip a stitch on both panels and then attach into the next. Skip a stitch, attach into the next, and repeat that all the way across, just like we did for the opposite side. Alright guys, we are through with the second side, and this is what we have. So I'm going to just use these 2 strands and tie them together to create a knot, or you can just weave them in using a darning needle. Cut your yarn, and now it's time for us to work on the straps. We're going to create straps on top of the bra cups, each bra cup, and then we also create straps on the sides of the triangular panel. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so to create straps, I'm going to demonstrate only one strap, and you'll be able to do the same exact thing at all the 4 corners. So I'll demonstrate for this one. Attach your yarn in the exact middle part of the bra cup. And then make a chain of 3 and double crochet into the same exact spot where you attached your yarn. And then make a chain of 3 and double crochet in between the 2 stitches here below. Alright. Chain 3, double crochet into the stitches below in the middle. So we are creating this segmented strap, and we are going to repeat that process until we get the length of the strap that we want. So far I have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 segments. Alright, so I ended up doing a total of 30 segments for my upper strap, the strap on the bra cup, and it's the same exact length that I'm going to do at all corners. So 30 segments, and then when you get to that, you're going to make a chain of 1 and cut your yarn. And that means the very first strap of our top is finished. We're going to repeat the same process here. At this corner and at this corner. So we have 3 more straps to do. I'm going to go ahead and do them, and then I'll meet you back when I am through with that and show you what to do next. Alright guys, after creating all your straps, you're going to have straps on the sides and at the top of the bralette. So when you turn your work to the back, like this, these are the straps that are going to tie around the rib cage at the back of the top, and the upper straps are going to tie around the neck at the back of the neck. Alright guys, so another thing that you can do if you feel like this area is so open, you're going to just make a simple chain of about 50 to 60 chains, and you're going to weave it into every other chain one space on the side. So you can see I put it into the first row of the mesh and then skipped one row and laced it into the next row or the next space. Skip one space and go into the next for a total of around 2 to 3 times, and then you'll tie it up. This is going to create a more decent and covered up look. So that marks the end of this tutorial, guys. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to check out the written pattern, which is already available on all my online shops. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.